Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. This is where I take all of your questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. First of all, thank you for the amazing questions. Don't forget, if you have a question and you want to have it answered on the channel, you've got to get it into the comments on this video before the Wednesday, okay? Before the Wednesday evening. I tend to film these on a Thursday, sometimes on a Wednesday. So if you get them to me by a Wednesday morning, Wednesday evening at the latest, I will definitely answer them. If I miss it, I apologize. I will answer it the following week, I promise. I get a lot of questions. You've got to leave them on this video. If they're all over the channel, sometimes I do miss them, okay? And don't forget, I don't actually read the questions beforehand. I kind of just go on the spur of the moment, and if any questions I think are especially good, I use them for the basis of other videos in the future. Anyway, without further ado, there's like about 40 questions here as far as I can see. Some of them might just be comments, but we're going to get straight into it. So here we go. Let's go on to this week's questions. Okay, so the first question is from a regular question asker, and it's Illusionists Ed Zeus. Hope you're well. And the question is, hey, thanks for a great Q&A. You are welcome. I wanted to ask, I remember some time ago you told us that you write down every show you've done because if the client wants to rebook you, you know what show you did for them last time. I don't have multiple shows, but I like to change tricks from time to time on my actual show. And now I would say my material is so huge I could easily make another show, but I would never accept another booking from the same client because I don't know what show I did last time. So if you're open to give this away, I'd love to know how you actually do this. What's the process? Do you have a file on a PC, a notepad, or how do you write it down? As always, huge thanks. Okay, great question. So yeah, I mean, just as a side note, you really should, over time, if you're putting yourself out there as a stage magician doing a show, you should have multiple shows. You really should have multiple shows. Having said that, you don't always need to do a different show. So, for example, I just took a booking earlier on today for somebody who saw my illusion show a year ago. And I said, fantastic, what's the event this time? And they told me, and I said, hey, no problem. You know, how many people, what's the crossover? That's the question you need to ask. What's the crossover in terms of guests? And they said to me, it's a completely different audience. And they actually wanted me to do the same show. Sometimes if you do a different show, it can almost be a little bit of a disappointment. They've booked you because they've seen the show that's amazing. If you then turn up and do a completely different show, you know, sometimes it can be a bit not as good. So you want to ask the client, and I like to give them the option. I like to say, hey, you're rebooking in, that's brilliant. Is it the same audience? Is it a different audience? Do you want the same show? Do you want a different show? Make sure that you're aware of that and make sure the client's aware of that. The other thing is when you're doing kid shows, I mention this because I don't know if you're doing kid shows, family shows, corporate shows, whatever. If you're doing kid shows, kids as a general rule, parents that book shows, a lot of the time they want the exact same show. And the reason is kids love repetition. My daughter, who is 7, could watch the same episode of Paw Patrol 1,000 times and never get bored. And the reason for that is because she knows what's coming. She's looking forward to it. She's excited about it. And that's part of the enjoyment. And again, you know, I run a kids entertainment company. A lot of the time, if we sent a different show, they wouldn't be as happy because they've booked us because their child has seen us at a particular event and they want that same experience at their show. So try to make sure with the client that they want a different show or a same show. Having said that, you should have more than one show. And it sounds like you've got enough material to have more than one show. I have like about 7 different cabaret shows, 4 different illusion shows, but I've just been doing this for a very long time. In terms of how I do it from a technical point of view, it's not very difficult. It's not a big secret. There's 2 different ways that we actually do it, and the two methods kind of support each other. So the first thing that we do is we use a CRM in our business, and the CRM we use is something called Infusionsoft by Keep. Infusionsoft is kind of an all-singing, all-dancing CRM system that allows us to take payments, create automation, send all kinds of stuff. If you've ever signed up for the Netrix and you get emails sent out, you know, when you fill in the form and whatever, that's Infusionsoft that's doing that. We create automated systems within Infusionsoft and we use them to do lots of different marketing activities and customer service stroke customer journey activities. And a good CRM system will allow you to keep notes on there of every single client, and you can have notes on anything that you want to. So the admin team in my office will automatically update every single slightly unusual booking. If we've done a show, it'll be updated with the show that we've actually done. And if it's a different entertainer, it'll be the member of Slightly Unusual that's done the show. That's on the CRM system. So we can go in and we can search for a client's name or email address or phone number, and we can see all the notes that we've got on there, which is very, very useful. It's the same thing that I'm using in the Netrix for gold customers. We've got multiple notes on all of the gold customers so that we can go in there and we can see everything that we need to see when we're doing more calls and so on and so forth. Also, our calendar system. We have a calendar system that's based on Google Calendar, but any calendar system will work. If you operate an online calendar system, you can go back and you can look at bookings from years ago. And what we have for every single booking, we have a calendar entry. So we can go in, you know, if you saw our calendar, we have hundreds of bookings every single day. We can go into any one of those bookings and it'll expand it out, and it'll have all the information in there about the client, the booking, the venue location, all of this sort of stuff. And then what we can do is an additional information down below, we always put down there the show that we've done for them. So that if somebody rings back up and says, hey, we booked you on blah, blah, blah date, we can just go into the calendar and we can go look on that particular date, find that booking, and we can look at it on there as well. So we've got two ways of doing it. It's just a copy and paste job from one platform to the other. But, you know, it means that we've got two places where the information's kept in case there's an issue with one of them, like Google has an outage or something. Now, you might not be in a position where you're actually using a CRM system, and that's fine, but you can get something like Google Calendar for free. You know, it's a free application that you can get off the internet. My advice would be to start putting all of your bookings on Google Calendar. Create a Google Calendar, have all of your bookings on there, and it means that you can go back and you can look at bookings from years ago, either by searching your Google Calendar or by going back to that specific date and looking at the gig that's on there, and then you can open it up, you can expand it, and you can look at the information inside there. That's where you write what you did in the previous show. So when you get a phone call, you can look back and you've got a real clear frame of reference. So hopefully that answered your question. That's exactly what we do in our business. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Suter, and Adrian says, hey Craig, hey Adrian, which linking ring routine and rope routine work particularly well in a kids or family show? So I'm going to give you one linking ring routine, which I do in my kids show, my family show, and my corporate show, and I'm going to give you two ring and rope routines. Now, I'm sure I've performed these on Magic Lives, but if not, I could probably do a performance if you wanted me to. The best linking ring routine for stage, I'm not talking close-up. For close-up, Ninja Rings, Ninja Plus, Matthew Garrett stuff is amazing with the smaller rings. For stage size, you want to be using bigger rings, right? In my opinion, the best linking ring routine, especially for a family and a kid show, is Pop Hayden's linking ring routine. It's just absolutely brilliant. If you haven't seen it, it's the whole idea of he has somebody to come up and stand by the side of him. So it's a perfect trick to do if you're doing a birthday party, for example, and you've got the kid up on stage, because the whole presentation is you're going to make them the star of the show. They're going to do the trick for you. They're going to be doing the linking ring routine, or at least that's my presentation for it. Pop goes in a different direction. But if I'm doing this in a kid's show, my hook line is, hey guys, I'm going to try and do something right now. I'm going to do something. I'm going to show you a classic of magic, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to have somebody come up and do it, and that person is going to be the star of the show, blah, the birthday child coming up, fantastic. Then I'll do this routine with them, and it's the whole idea of you link the rings together, but then you get them to do it, and there's a lot of byplay and comedy where they're linking the rings, and you know, they're trying to unlink them and they can't, and you don't notice, and you think they've unlinked them and linked them again, and it's just a beautiful routine. Now, I have simplified it. Pop has some really complicated routine moves that work really well, but they don't fit my style. They don't fit me as a performer on stage. And I suppose that's the important point. You can take anybody's routine, but you have to adapt it and make it your own, right? But a good starting off point for any family or cabaret show or kids show is the Pop Hayden linking ring routine. You can get it from most magic dealers. I know Penguin have it as a download. And he goes through rings and ring size and the types of rings to use. He breaks each move down into really fine detail. It's an amazing, an absolutely amazing routine. So Pop Hayden's linking ring routine is what I would suggest when it comes to linking rings. In terms of ring and rope, you've got two different ways of doing this, in my opinion. Basically, there's two types of ring and rope. And by ring and rope, I think you're talking about not the finger ring, but you're talking about more the bigger ring, like the chrome ring, the 3-inch or the 5-inch chrome ring, right? I'm actually going to give you 3 routines, and all of them are good, and all of them are different for different reasons. The first one is the ring competition by Mark Leverage. Now, you can get that as a download on Mark's website. And what the ring competition is, it's one single piece of rope, and it's a ring. Okay, and there's no extra pieces of rope or anything like that. It's just one piece of rope and a ring, and the presentation is what really makes this. Mark talks about competitions, and as magicians we enter competitions, and he went to a competition and he saw 3 magicians, and as he talks about, and they all did a trick with a ring and a rope, and as he does this, he demonstrates each move that the magician does with the ring and a rope. It's a really nice presentation, and the moves in his routine are really solid as well. They're really good. It's a very nice hook, and it's a shorter routine than the others that I'm going to suggest to you. So the first thing that I'd suggest is the ring competition by Mark Leverage. The second thing I would suggest is Daryl's ring on rope routine. Now, this is a wonderful routine that just uses a piece of rope and a ring. It doesn't use any extra pieces or anything like that, just one piece of rope and a ring. And it's a multi-phase routine where the ring drops through the rope and comes off and goes on. I've been doing my own variation of this for years. It's actually my favorite version out of all 3 of them. I've done all 3 of them at various different points, but this version is my absolute favorite. I love it, and it's amazing for kid shows, and it's amazing for family shows. It's very visual. The ending, you get the kid to come up and they hold onto the rope and they pull it off themselves. They do everything. It's just a beautiful routine. Daryl's ring and rope routine. And the nice thing is the way that Daryl has routined this, and this is the genius that was Daryl, the way that Daryl's routined this is that each move, it's basically a series of moves where the ring goes on and off the rope, right? And each move sets you up for the next move. So in other words, he does a move where the ring goes on the rope, and then the next phase starts with the ring needing to be on the rope, right? And that's really important, because I've seen people do ring and rope routines before where you have to adjust between each phase. Like, I've taken the ring off, now let me put it back on so I can take it off again. Not the case with Daryl's routine. It's beautiful, really good. And then the final one that I'd suggest is a bonus routine on Fiber Optics Extreme by Richard Sanders, which is based on the David Williamson ring on rope routine. Now, the David Williamson ring on rope routine is iconic. It's brilliant. It uses a rope, and it uses an extra small piece of rope. And then the whole idea, the whole concept of it is you're tying this rope into a loop, whilst in reality you're not. You're creating a gimmick. So it allows you to be able to do some really clever moments where the ring goes on and comes off, and it's just beautiful. It really is. Now, what Richard Sanders did in his Fiber Optics Extreme is he incorporated the David Williamson ring and rope routine into fiber optics. So you start with Professor's Nightmare, but done the way that Richard does it on fiber optics. And then you say, look, I'm going to take one of the pieces of rope away. That leaves us with 2 ropes. And you take the 2 ropes and you make them go together into one. You then tie them together. You do various different ring and rope sequences that Richard came up with, which are really nice, based on the David Williamson routine. And then he pulls the ends off, leaving a solid loop of rope and a solid end. He puts the ends back on again. And then for the finale, he takes the ring off and all 3 pieces of rope go back to the same size. It's like the David Williamson ring on rope routine, but on speed. It's really good. All 3 of them are good. I wouldn't say one's better than the other, and I've done all 3 of them, but currently the one that I've kind of settled on is the Daryl ring and rope routine. If you would like me to perform one or all 3 of those, or the linking rings routine, let me know, and I'll schedule them to be filmed for a Magic Live at some point in the future. Okay, so the next question is from FT Lum. How are you doing, FT Lum? I think it's a new question asker. If so, welcome to Magic TV. Hi, Craig. I was listening to your recent podcast. Wonderful, but thank you. And I was wondering if your upcoming memorized deck project will be stack dependent, e.g. require using a Tamarit stack. If so, please provide ways of easily modifying any associated gimmicks so we can use the stack of our own choosing. Thanks, Frank. Right, good question, Frank. So what we have here is, so the memorized deck project will be dropping very, very soon. It's probably the next thing I've got coming out, and it's with the 1914. I'm very excited to be working with the 1914 again. When I I came back into Magic, the first trick that I bought out was Gossip with Alakazam, and then the second trick I bought out was Visible, the Visible project with the 1914. This is only the second project I bought out with the 1914. There's other stuff that we've got in the works, but this is the second project. I think that what 1914 do the best is when they're doing really big projects, because they care. If you've ever been on a 1914 shoot, it's like being in Hollywood. It really is. It's crazy. There's multiple camera people, there's multiple cameras, there's boom mics, there's absolutely everything. There's people there with iPads taking notes. It's insane, absolutely insane. That's what this project needed. So the Memorized Deck project, I'm probably giving too much away, but it's called Forecast, and it's the ultimate prediction system. So it's all routines that are designed to be able to predict something with a deck of cards, right? And there's 10 routines in total, 9 routines plus a bonus routine, so 10 in total. And the whole idea with it is, it's all routines out of my working professional repertoire, but what we have with this project is that I've spoken to so many people on this. I've had so many questions about memorized decks because I talk about them a lot on the channel, right? And I've had so many people say to me, I want to learn a memorized deck and I can't. And I've actually spoken to lots of people, and the reason they say they can't isn't because they haven't been able to remember it. It's because they are worried or nervous about doing it in the real world. And it is a very steep learning curve from practicing the memorized deck to actually going out and doing it at an actual gig. So what we tried to do with this project was reduce the learning curve. And how we did that is by having 3 sections of tricks. The first section, the first 3 routines, are completely self-working. So in other words, it requires a stacked deck, but you don't even need to know the stack. You could give this to somebody who wouldn't even have a clue what the stack is, and they could do that trick. So it gives you confidence, because when you're at a position that you're ready to actually go out and maybe do the memorized deck, but you get in front of an audience and you're like, oh God, I can't remember. You can just go into one of these 3 routines, which are killer routines, by the way. We're not talking about like little gambling routines or gambling demonstrations, like full-on kick-ass routines that you don't even need to worry about the deck about. So now you can go and perform with a mem deck without worrying. Then the second set of 3 routines use a gimmick that's included that allows you to memorize the deck in real time. So, and that gimmick has been included in the handling of all of the routines. So now when you get to a position that you're ready to do mem deck stuff, if you feel nervous, it's not a problem, because you've got this automatic cue in front of you at all times that literally tells you what you need to know, so you don't have to worry about it. You've got the information there. And then the final 3 are routines that require instant recall. So in other words, you do need to know the memorized deck. So now the learning curve is gradual as opposed to really steep. And yeah, there's information on there how to memorize a deck for sure. And I talk about how I memorized the deck. I talk about how I taught Rylan to memorize a deck at the age of 6 or 7, or however old he was. So I go through all of that, and I talk about how to get it into your long-term memory and so on and so forth. And I talk about moves and a whole bunch of different stuff that we talk about. But the most important thing is the fact that there's all these different routines. And then there's a 10th bonus routine, which also doesn't require you to know the memorized deck. The question, however, was, that's to catch everyone up who didn't listen to the podcast. The question, however, was, are any of the routines stack dependent, or are the gimmicks stack dependent? So none of the routines are stack dependent. Now, what that means for anybody who's new to memorized deck work, there's lots of different stacks, right? So Tom Crosby has, and I talk about all the different stacks in the project right at the very beginning. That's the first thing I do. Tom Crosby's got a stack called the Shadow stack. You know, Tamariz has got the Mnemonica stack. You know, you've got the Redford stack. You've got so many different stacks. Aronson stack obviously is very popular, very popular. None of the routines are stack dependent, so you could do them with any stack. That's not a problem at all. And the gimmicks that you get 2 gimmicks. One of the gimmicks is designed for Tamariz. It's designed for Mnemonica. It's designed for Juan Tamariz's stack, because that's the stack that I use. The other gimmick is able to be customized to any stack. The reason we included the second gimmick is because we are aware that different people might want to be learning different stacks for different reasons. So as well as giving you the stack, as well as giving you the gimmick for Mnemonica, we also gave you a gimmick that you can adapt to any stack, whether it's a Shadow stack, an Aronson stack, a Redford stack, whatever it is. You can adapt it for that. You can use it for that stack very, very easily, and we'll talk about that on the project. So in answer to your question, which was please provide ways of easily modifying any associated gimmicks. You get extra gimmicks that you can modify to any stack, so that's not a problem. So you can use the stack of your choosing. Frank, I hope that helps. And thank you for showing interest in this project. I really hope that this is the project that causes everybody out there to realize just how amazing using a mem deck is, because it honestly takes every pick a card trick and turns it into a name a card trick. Okay, so the next question is from Mark Roberts, Magician and Mind Reader. And Mark says, hey, Craig, thanks for this fabulous channel, and the Netrix is amazing. I appreciate that. Quick question, will you be doing any video tutorials for the RBG coin set from N2G on Netrix? I really like the look of this set, but I find it difficult learning from the silent tutorial. Absolutely. A lot of people have asked for that, so I'm going to be doing something on the Netrix on it in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're currently working on a full course on Rubik's Cube magic, because that's been asked for by a lot of the people inside the Netrix. So I'm putting together a big course on how to solve the cube first of all, and then how to do all of the stuff that I do with the Rubik's Cube. You're going to see live performances, and I'm going to talk you through how to do my timing force, how to do my shake solve, and absolutely everything. So that's all going to be right there on the Netrix. We're hoping to have that ready to upload by the next upload. We've just uploaded 10 routines on Monday. A week on Monday, we're hoping to upload, well, we are going to upload another 5 routines, but we're hoping to upload this this massive course on Rubik's Cube magic as well. So, yeah, I'm really super excited about that. So, but then, yeah, I've had a lot of people asking me about N2G series, and the tutorials are terrible. And I have a lot of routines that I do with their coins that I think a lot of people would like. So that is something we're going to be filming and putting on the Netrix sooner rather than later. Okay, so the next question is for the Bond Villain, and the Bond Villain says, hi Craig, I have a question. What's the difference between a magnetic flipper and a pro-gravity flipper and a gravity flipper? I've been looking to buy a good flipper, but I'm just confused by the types of flippers to buy. Okay, so that's a great question. A magnetic flipper, realistically, generally the magnetic flippers, I think you're talking about Double Deception. Double Deception is a coin set marketed by JB Magic, by Mark Mason. And if you haven't seen it, it was created by Bob Swaddling, and now JB have the rights to it. And how Bob Swaddling used to do it when I saw him demming it at Blackpool is he would have a handkerchief held by 2 people, right? So that each person would have a corner, and he shows the 2 coins. Has one person examine one person has the other, examines the other, puts them on the center of the handkerchief, and then pulls one of them through, and it goes through the handkerchief, which is examinable. And the idea is it's a flipper that magnetically locks, and it stays open because the other coin is magnetic as well. And you might have seen this more recently. It's been popularized by using a spectator's t-shirt. So they pull their t-shirt out and they put the coins on the t-shirt, and you pull it through their t-shirt. But yeah, that's realistically, that's the magnetic flipper, really. That's what a magnetic flipper is used for. Realistically, I don't think there's much of a difference between a pro-gravity and a gravity flipper. The whole idea of a gravity flipper, it is a flipper that opens with gravity. And it was originally popularized by Dean Dill and Jamie Schoolcraft. And the whole idea is, the old style flippers had banding on the outside. The banding was external. So if you looked at the side of the coin, you could see the banding. And how to open it is, it was very tight. So the only way to open it was to shake it like this. What a gravity style flipper is first of all, the banding is internal, right? Second of all, it just flops open. Okay, so you just hold it at the edge and it just flops down and you lay it on your hand. A gravity flipper will lie on your hand. If it's a normal flipper, it will try to close. And you don't want that, at least for any of my routines that I do. You want the gravity flipper to remain open, right? And that's what a gravity flipper does. It remains open on your hand, and then when you throw it up in the air, it will close. It's also very easy to show 2 coins and switch one of them for a gravity flipper, because it opens itself automatically. Places that you can get a gravity flipper from that are good: Jamie Schoolcraft, although it's very expensive. Roy Cooper's, slightly less expensive, but still very good. JB Magic, also very good, slightly less expensive. I know that you're not in the UK, so I'm not going to say the person I was going to say. Tango's is okay. Tango for me is like the budget coin. You know, it's all right, but it's not amazing. It'll do the job. It will do the job. You know, you're not going to go wrong with it, but there are better flippers out there, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm trying to think of whether to tell you. No, because Shall I? Oh, God. So, Mick Wilson also does a flipper that's incredible. I've got like 2 or 3 of his. They're very, very good. He doesn't have a shop. It's very difficult to get hold of him. You can find him on various different Facebook groups. But his stuff is absolutely amazing. I will tell you that I've got a project coming out with Penguin at some point. And it's a project on tons of stuff with the flipper coin, and I can't wait for people to see that. I bought out a DVD years ago called Flipped Out, and it was shot very, very badly. The routines were great, but it was shot one camera from miles away. It was terrible. So what we did is I've redone the project, but with massively updated routines. It's like 15 different routines, loads of really new routines, and it's coming out through Penguin at some point, and I believe that they're sourcing a coin for me to go with it. So if you want a coin with it, you can get one with it, and I'm waiting for them to send me a prototype so I can see what it looks like. So you might want to hold off for that, but Roy Corpus is good, JB Magic is good, and if you want the daddy of flipper coins, then go to Jamie Schoolcraft. Okay, so the next question is from Venom Vs, and Venom Vs says, "Hi Craig, I've got a question about Rubik's Cubes. I don't know if I should buy a Venom Cube or Rubicon. Venom Cube is okay, I think you've wrote this wrong. Venom Cube is cheaper, but Rubicon seems much cheaper. I think Venom Cube's cheaper than Rubicon, but I don't know, it might not be. It's a great question. Very quickly, I'll give you my opinion. So Venom, the first one was Rubicon. Okay, so Rubicon by Greg Wilson, that came out first. And Greg's routine with Rubicon is absolutely brilliant. If you haven't seen it, it's a routine that he performs himself. And it's just an incredible routine. A spectator comes up on stage, him and Greg mix the cubes up behind their back, and he shows that they match, and the 2 cubes match, and then once the 2 cubes have matched, he then solves one of the cubes behind his back with one hand. That's basically the routine. Venom Cube is Henry Harrius's, I don't know if he was inspired by Rubicon. I can't remember. I watched the tutorial years ago. I imagine, knowing how the 2 of them work, it would be inspired, but I don't know. So let me tell you the big difference, because they are very similar in a way. Okay, it allows you to take 2 cubes and match the 2 cubes. That it allows you to bring 2 cubes out, hand one to the spectator, keep one yourself, mix them up either openly in front of your body or behind your back. And then in the action of taking them back, you can show that they've solved, right? That's basically the difference between, basically they both do exactly the same thing. Henry's project. Okay, so first of all, the advantages of Henry's. Henry's Venom Cube is designed to work with all of Henry's gimmicks. So it works with an RD cube, an RD regular. It's you can combine it with a Tornado Cube or Insta Cube or any of that stuff. So you can structure routines together that are longer than just the Venom Cube routine. So once you've done Venom Cube, for example, you could put one cube to one side, and then you're left with a regular RD cube. You could solve the RD cube. You could go into any cube matching routines that you want to. You could put cube and bottle into it, whatever you want to do, okay? So because the gimmicks are all created to work with each other, it allows you more flexibility. He actually goes through on the project how to combine Instacube and Venom Cube. So you can have Instacube as part of the thing, so you can solve the cube visually and then do the match, or the other way around. With Rubicon, it's cubes that Greg has designed for use with Rubicon. So although at the end you're left with a regular cube, it's not as good a speed cube as what you get with Henry's. It's not designed to be. Greg openly tells you on the project he doesn't even know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. So he's not a cuber, so he doesn't need to have a cube that handles really nicely. But it means because of that, these cubes can really only be done for the Rubicon routine. They can't be used for anything else because they're not compatible with anything else, if that kind of makes sense. The other advantage of Henry's product, and this is small, but how you do without giving too much away, how you do Rubicon is you take the 2 cubes back. Once you've took the 2 cubes back, you've got to do a move in front of the audience. And there's a move that you have to do, which Greg goes through, and it's very well done, but it's a move that you have to do. With Venom Cube, you take the cube back and there's no move. You can literally hold this one here, you take Venom Cube back, and then you just hold them next to each other, find the two matching sides, and as you're turning around to show each side, it's doing the move for you without giving too much away. Anybody who's got these, you'll know it's doing the move for you. So it's easier to do Venom Cube than it is to do Rubicon because there's really no moves to it. You just take the two cubes back and it does everything for you. Whilst with Rubicon, there is a move that you need to do. Also, on the Henry Harriers project, there's a couple of extra bonus routines. I think the one move solve is taught on there as well, which is really good. So they're both good. They both do exactly the same thing. I'd go for Henry's over Greg's. I mean, the advantage Greg's got going for it is there's lots of live performances of Greg's routine in front of real people in different scenarios, and Greg is wonderful. And you know what? I know people that use Rubicon, and they absolutely love it. I'd say if you don't know how to solve a cube, and you have no intention of solving the cube, and you just want to do a routine with the Rubik's Cube, get Rubicon. Absolutely not a problem. But if you're a cuber or you want to build up a bigger cube act and you want to put cubes in bottles or whatever it is you want to do, get Venom Cube. Venom Cube is very, very clever. It's a lot easier and it's a bit more clever in terms of how the gimmick works. It's an evolution beyond Rubicon, but that does not mean Rubicon is bad. It's really not. Greg bought that out before Venom Cube came out. And you know, he cornered the market with it for a long time. In fact, I actually learned how to solve a Rubik's Cube the second time. I learned how to solve it, then I forgot how to solve it, and I relearned it after buying Rubicon, because I bought Rubicon and I was practicing it, and I accidentally solved the cube, mixed the cube up. So I had to solve it. So I bought Cube 3 to be able to solve the cube, and that opened up a wonderful world of possibilities in terms of what you can actually do with cubes. And I use Venom Cube in my act. I don't use Rubicon because I do lots of cube stuff and the cubes fit together nicely, which is what I was talking about. And Ryland as well, he uses Venom Cube in his act. So realistically, Venom Cube, but you know, there's nothing wrong with Rubicon. Hopefully that answers the question. Michael Cook says, Offbeat and Misdirection, is there much of a difference? I think a video on the two subjects would be interesting. I'm actually planning it. I'm actually doing a video on the Offbeat, and I'm doing a video on Misdirection and how to do Misdirection properly and convincingly. So there are videos on that coming very, very soon on Magic TV. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it'd be really interesting. So I'm going to try and explain the differences between the two. I'll probably put one video up one week and then one video up the next week. Right, so the next question is from Pratik Kohil, and Pratik says, hey Craig, love your videos. Can you please tell me a few tricks that can be carried in the Orphic wallet? Well, I was on the Orphic wallet tutorial, man. I talked about 4 routines with cards that you can do with the Orphic wallet. However, beyond that, something I've been doing recently, which is based on something I saw my friend Roman Armstrong do. If you don't know the name Roman Armstrong, you will soon. He is incredible. He's got his first trick coming out soon with Alakazam. This kid is going places. I love him to bits. He's one of the most creative people I know. Anyway, he showed me something when I was at the Magic Circle a few weeks ago with an Orphic wallet, and I've actually took that and gone in a different direction with it, and I'll explain what I'm doing. So without going too much into how the Orphic wallet works or anything like that, you will know that if you have a credit card in the outside slot, in the correct outside slot, it will appear inside the ID compartment inside the wallet, right? So it's the idea of having a photo of yourself, having 2 photos of yourself, having one photo on the back of a credit card, and then having another photo in the ID compartment. And the one photo, which is on the credit card, is me holding a big sign with your card written on it. So it's me standing there on stage holding a big sign saying your card. And then the actual, and that's kind of sellotape, double-sided taped onto the back of the credit card. The other one that's actually inside the ID compartment is exactly the same picture, exactly the same sign, but it actually says the name of a playing card on there, right? So the whole idea of the routine, I'm being intentionally vague, hopefully people with an Orphic wallet will get it. And the whole idea is you say that you've got a prediction inside your wallet, and if you get the prediction right, then you'll let them have all the money out of your bank accounts, right? And then you have them name a card, you know, pick a card, whatever, you have them name a card. And when they name a card, you say, if it was your card inside my wallet, it had a picture of me holding your card, would that be good? And they say yes. And you open up the picture and it's you holding a sign saying your card. And you go, there you go, thank you very much. Looks like I win. You do not get the contents of my wallet. You shut the wallet, you show the credit card, you put it back in another compartment. And again, Orphic wallet users will know what I'm talking about. And then you go, okay, you're not very impressed. Okay, what was your card again? It was this. Snap, and you open up the wallet, and now the picture inside the wallet, the picture has changed to you holding whatever it is, two of hearts, for example, and they can actually take that picture out and they can look at it and they can examine it. So it's a really nice thing that you can do with your Orphic wallet. I've been intentionally vague, but hopefully people with an Orphic wallet will know what I'm talking about. Okay, I've had several people, I'm reading them, Tom Stevenson, a whole bunch of people, suggest tricks with one card. I had a question last week, what would you do if you're handed one card? And a lot of people have said various different routines that use one card, like, lots of different stuff. Lots of different stuff. Angle Zero by Daniel Madison's the best trick I've seen, which uses one card, and somebody else that goes, one card. The problem is, the way the question was framed, as far as I saw it, was one card as in you are handed one card and do a trick with it. And everything that everyone's suggesting needs that card prepared by you beforehand. There's lots of tricks you can do when a card is prepared beforehand, like Angle Z. But if you've just handed a card and you just get told to do a trick, what are you going to do at that point? That's the question. With just one card. I don't know. I went through it last week. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so David Blaine is on there, and he says, Svengali project, when is it coming? Well, it's coming soon, man. I'm doing that with the 1914, and I believe that's the next project that I'm filming. When we originally did Visible, we knew it was going to be part of a series of a collection of different things. Visible was with the Invisible deck. We knew the Svengali project would be next. We've got a couple of other projects that are going to be coming out in the future after that, but we didn't want to do more than one a year. So in 2022, the Svengali deck project is coming. I don't know when. It's the next thing I'm filming with 1914, I believe, after the Mem deck thing, which is coming out later this month. But yeah, it's going to be good. I mean, when you see some of the stuff that I do with the Svengali deck, I think you're going to love it. I think there's so much stuff that you can do. It's crazy. So it'll be this year. If I had to guess, I'd say the summer, but don't hold me to it. But it's going to be worth the wait. Okay, so the next question is Catheter, and Catheter says, hi Craig, great channel, thank you very much. I want to ask your opinion on the card stab. Do you like the trick? Do you have a favourite routine? I remember a great comedy blindfold routine at Blackpool several years ago. I prefer books as a learning resource. Any guidance would be appreciated. I've got to be honest, you kind of hit my weakest link here. I don't really do much with a card stab. I don't really do much at all. It's not something that I've done. For a while in restaurants many years ago, I did the thing with the bowed deck. If you don't know what that is, you spring a deck of cards before you start, so you kind of put a bend in them going one way, and you have someone pick a card, and they pick a card, and they look at it and they sign it or whatever, and you cut half the cards over. And as you put them in your hand and you give them a bend in the other direction, as you say, put your card, your card back, and then you put this on top. So you've got like a bend in the middle of the deck. You then take a napkin off the table and you wrap it round, or like a serviette, a tissue. You wrap it round and you get them to hold onto it, and you take a knife off the table and you shove it into the middle. And because there's a big gap in the middle of the deck, it goes right next to their card. It's like an impromptu card stab. But I mean, it's not something I've really done. I'd love to see a really good version. I think it's not a card stab, but I'm a really big fan of that Penn and Teller routine where he's got that thing that shoots nails. It's a nail gun and he has to memorize the order of the nail gun. I thought that was very clever. But in terms of a card stab, I don't really do one, to be perfectly honest. Why don't you recommend me one? I love to learn a card stab. I've just been very uninspired by every card stab I've seen, to be perfectly honest. It's just been something that I've not really been too interested in learning, but I'd love to have my mind changed. People that are watching this, suggest to me a really good card stab. I'd like to have a look at it. Okay, so my friend Sean Goff from Ireland has a question this week. Haven't had time to ask questions the last 2 weeks since I've been caught up in Netrix. Awesome, man. Number one, I'm loving Netrix, but wondering what is your favourite personal trick that you have created and taught that's up on the Netrix? There's so many on there that I really like. What's my favourite? There's a couple. I'll give you a couple. So I really like Bulls with a Z, which is my version of Gadabout coins, but with with small ball bearings. I love that. I do it all of the time. Like, it's such a strong routine, and I'm really happy with how the routining went, because you start off with it's very self-contained. You start off with these three little ball bearings, and then you throw them into the hand, and you're doing the 2 in the hand, 1 in the pocket thing. And then just when they kind of get a grip around what's happening there, or what, they're kind of anticipating what the next phase will be, suddenly one of the balls grows twice as big, then the second ball goes twice as big, the third ball goes twice as big, and just when they're trying to follow it, it's like, what? And then you've got that giant, one of them just transforms into a giant ball. And I love the routining behind it, because there were no reason, the routining in the routine makes sense. There's no moment where you're putting your hand in your pocket for no reason. There's no moment where you're having to steal something. Everything is completely justified in the routine. And what I get about coins is great, but it's very kind of, okay, right, I get it. I love it when you're throwing surprises into a performance, and that's what you have, because just when they think they know what's going on, the balls are starting to change size, and at the end it's like, I haven't got a clue what's going on here. So I really like balls. I also like the Rising Triumph routine. If you haven't, go check that out. Go check it out. Rising Triumph. The whole idea is it's a regular shuffled deck of cards in use anytime, anywhere. You have a card picked, it's lost in the deck, it genuinely apparently is lost. You take the cards, you shuffle them face up into face down, you show that they're shuffled face up into face down, and then what happens is you hold the deck here, one card rises up out the deck, and it's the card that they picked, and then you immediately show that all the cards have sorted themselves out except for that card. Really strong, really, it's designed to be done in tight walk around, mix and mingle, strolling situations. I absolutely love that routine. I'll give you one more. I'll give you a coin routine. Free will coins across. I am so proud of the construction of that routine. I remember when I first came up with it, and I know other people have approached the plot, but when I first came up with it, it was on the Nightshade coin set, and it used like 3 or 4 gimmicks, and it was the idea of having 3 coins, a copper, a silver, and a bass, put it into the hand, and then one at a time they go in the other hand, like a coins across, but you never open up this hand, and they decide the order of how the coins go across. And there's no equivoke, there's no force, they genuinely decide the order. And you show each coin as it goes past, and you show your hand empty each time. I was really happy with that. And then I put that on Nightshade, and then I worked out a way of doing it, but with no gimmicks, where the coins can be examined at the beginning, the coins can be examined at the end, and they just go across, and you never open this hand until the end. And I do that in the real world all of the time. I love free will coins across. But the nicest thing about Netrix is it's not just me on there. There's a whole bunch of different stuff on there as well, Sean. And, I'm a big Kyle Purnell fan. If you haven't seen Torso, go check it out. It's the new thing that we put up on Monday, and it is the cleanest torn and restored card I've ever seen. As soon as I saw it, I learnt it. And it's like, it's literally, you take one card, you tear an unprepared deck, anytime, anywhere, tear the corner off, and it's amazing. Kyle Purnell is a genius. He well-deserved winner of Creator of the Year at Penguin Magic, because the guy is an absolute legend, in my opinion. Okay, so the next question is another one from Sean Garth, and Sean says, because of Netrix, I'm learning coin magic. Amazing. I live in Ireland, and the euro coins are a bit too small to comfortably palm. What are your favourite coins to use for coin magic, and where do you get them? I either use dollars or I use $half. Now, when you first start off, you might want to not make an investment on a really expensive coin. So $half, I would just use a normal $half. You can get them relatively cheaply for like £1.50 from most magic shops. And $half are nice because they're the perfect size. They've got a milled edge, so they're very easy to do coin roll downs and things like that. It's the perfect coin, in my opinion. And if you want to do routines that require people to see more of the coin, like 3 flies, where you're holding them at the tips of the fingers and they're jumping from one hand to the other, or fingertip coin productions or things like that, you want to go for a dollar size coin. Now, when you first start off, get yourself an Eisenhower dollar. They're not very expensive, and you can get gimmicks for both the $half and the Eisenhower dollar. They're great coins to use. When you start getting really into coin magic, you might want to get yourself a more expensive set. Now, Copeland Coins is a great place to read some blogs on that sort of stuff. I personally use Walking Liberties for my $half, and I use Morgan dollars for my for my dollar size coin. So Morgan dollars and Walking Liberties. Ryland uses Barber half dollar, so he uses Barbers, which is another pure silver coin, slightly different to a Walking Liberty, and he uses Morgan dollars as well. So he uses Morgan dollars as well. I also have a set of Peace dollars, which are really nice. But yeah, don't worry about buying expensive coins for now, Sean. Just go for half dollars. They're very inexpensive. Eisenhower dollars, and those are the perfect size coins for your hand. I've met you in person. I know your hand size. I would go for those coins. Okay, so the next question is from my friend Chris James. How you doing, Chris? First of all, Netrix is amazing. Thank you so much. My question is, I'm really enjoying a lot of your products that have come out over the last year, every one of them being quality. I was wondering if you have any updated handlings on any of it, like extra thoughts, for example, maybe a new move for Chop. If so, would you ever share any of them on a video? Yeah, absolutely. Look, if I come up with new stuff and new routines for tricks that I've bought out, I've already spoken to the production companies I work with. They can add extra videos into the account and then email everyone to let them know. Plus, I'll let people know here on Magic TV. So if I have something new that I want to say about Chop, then I will film a video for Penguin and they will just drop it into the account. Now, in all honesty, I don't think I'll be coming up with anything with Chop at any point soon, because everything went into that project. All my new moves and ideas and concepts went onto there. Same with Invisible decks. If I'm putting together new ideas based on the concept on Visible, I'm going to put them into 1914 and they can update the instructions. Having said that, I have got an Invisible deck routine that's completely different to anything that went on Visible, and I'm actually putting that on the Netrix in the next couple of weeks. Is there anything else I can talk about with that? No, I mean, I'm not a sort of person to do a version 2.0. I'm really not, because I only release something when I think it's absolutely ready to be released. Chop was kind of a version 2.0, but that's because it came out like 11 years ago. A lot of people, it hadn't been on the market for a long time. A lot of people didn't know what it was. And I said to Penguin, if we bring out Chop, I want to make sure that it's got all of the new stuff that I've been working on over the last decade, the coin routines, the card routines, the mentalism routines, the routines with the new routines for the actual Chop routine, the new sleights, absolutely everything. I'm only going to bring out a version 2.0 if it's been a long time or if it's a radical departure from what I've done before. With the Quantum deck, I have got some new ideas with the Quantum deck, and I'll probably just share them on a video on this channel. I'm actually thinking about doing a video on the hows and whys of the Quantum deck and including a whole bunch of routines that I've come up with since releasing the Quantum deck that I think people would like, and I will just literally perform them, and anyone with a Quantum deck will know how they work. I am also working on something that's really cool that uses, you know what, I don't want to say anymore, but I think this is the best. I can't tell you, but I am working on something that's based on a product that I actually have already bought out, but it's completely in the different direction to what the original concept was, and it's just as far removed as you can get. In fact, if you saw me performing it, you wouldn't even realize it was linked to the original product, and I think it's going to blow a few people away. I'm so excited about you guys seeing that. So there's that, which I can't talk about. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, Chris, anything that I come up with, it will get either talked about on Magic TV, it'll get uploaded so people who have purchased it will get the new ideas, or it'll go on the Netrix. So there you go. The final question, guys, the final question today is, I've had a whole bunch of people message me and ask me about Lux. It's been shrouded in secrecy for months. When is it coming out? What's it all about? Well, at time of filming, it's not even been announced yet, but by the time you see this, it will have gone live as a pre-order, so you're probably going to have seen the trailer. Here's the thing, I've had a Lux now for several months, and I've been gigging with it for several months, and it is absolutely amazing. I am doing a full review show special tonight at 9 o'clock with performances of Lux. I'm going to be talking about it, and I've got an interview with Lloyd. I'm going to be asking him every question I've been asked. All of your questions are going to be answered. I'm going to completely let everyone know exactly what Lux is about. Myself and Lloyd are pretty much spilling the beans on everything. That's going to be tonight at 9 o'clock. You want to know all about Lux? All the people that want to know about Lux? 9 o'clock tonight. Okay, guys, that's another Q&A in the bag. Thank you very much for joining me here on Magic TV. Don't forget, we've got a whole bunch coming up over the course of the rest of the day. At 2 o'clock, we've got a Shorts. At 6 o'clock, we've got Magic Live. At 9 o'clock, I am here with a review show special on Lux. That's right, I'm going to be looking at Lloyd Barnes' Lux, and I'm going to be answering all of your questions. Make sure you check out Lux review show special, 9 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to be here with a 5x5 at 9 o'clock, Shorts at 2 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock a Magic Live. And don't forget, if you want to go check out the Netrix, which is the fastest growing Magic streaming platform in Magic, find out what all the fuss is about, you can join for just £15, £14.99, and have access to over 110 courses, and it's growing every single day. You want to support the site? Feel free to check out Netrix. Other than that, I'm going to be back again soon. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.